Hello, I'm Susanna Liller. Welcome to my video series, The Heroine's Journey. It's time to find your happiness. So where are we on our journey with these three lovely, amazing women? Where are we with Pamela and Maureen and Lisa? They've come through hearing their call, responding to their call, meeting their dragons, and now they return. At the end of a journey, you return to your village. Now, I present this all as a learning exercise in order to explain the milestones. They aren't always sequential. They're not sequential. You can go to one and go to another and go backwards and leap forwards, but if you're following the progression in a way that we can talk about it and teach it, after you've been on a particular journey, yeah, you're done. You've learned the lessons that you needed to learn in that particular journey. So in a way, you are returning to your village, returning to some form of ordinary life. Now, of course, the journey has transformed you. So you're not the same person who left way back when you responded to your call. And one thing we do is we look back and we see what gifts we've gained. And sometimes you can only do that several years after you've completed that particular journey. But I asked the three women, and this is what they talk about in this video, what were the gifts that they gained from this journey stories that they shared with us? What did they learn? And you'll hear from their own mouths, but you'll hear that Pamela talks about transforming a relationship. She learned a big lesson about judgment. And then you'll learn that Maureen talks about the gift of compassion and giving that gift of compassion to herself. And she talks about how as an athlete, it's you either win or lose, but in the game of life, it's not about winning and losing. And so having that compassion for yourself, no matter what happens, no matter what the outcome. And then Lisa talks about healing a relationship. Just like actually Pamela talks about the same thing. Healing herself and healing a relationship with others. And she definitely, Lisa talks about her creativity being a gift. So, of course, I invite you to look back and look at what you gained from different journeys that you've been on, because each one transforms and changes you. So listen in as our three women talk about what gifts they got from the journey that they talked about in these videos. And we have one more to go after this one, where they think and reflect about the journeys in general. So thank you for joining the four of us, and we'll see you for one more video. The heroine's journey is often called the journey to authenticity, because with all these dragons and dealing with them and dealing with the fear, you gain back, I think, a little bit more of yourself and have the freedom to, freedom is really a big thing, not to have to live within the constraints of what other people are telling you, the church, the racing community saying you can't race or whatever. And often that dragon, I think too, is just trying to protect you. I want to keep you safe. We could talk a lot about this, but I need to take you now to the heroine goes through all that one step at a time in front of the next one, meets the dragons, deals with the dragons, comes out on the other side, and in the journey, we call it the return threshold, and collects gifts from those particular journeys. And again, we go on many. So I would just ask you, as you think about that particular journey, Pamela, a gift that, the fact that you stood up and said, I'm not going to be in this marriage anymore, and I'm leaving the church, and I'm going to write it all down? And what's a gift? I'm sure there were many.
There were many. It's interesting what Lisa was saying about coming face to face with the shame and recognizing that. And one of the things that one of my dragons was judgment, feeling so judged by everyone for making these moves, these decisions, for crossing these thresholds, and feeling like I was being judged. And I really felt that so strongly from my mother, that it was her judgment that just I felt was soul crushing. And I expected her, because as a mother myself, I expected her regardless. I even told her one time, I don't expect you to approve of everything I do, but I do expect you to love me anyway. And I wasn't feeling that love from her, and I was just feeling judged. And I had this epiphany where I realized how judgmental I was being of her. I was judging her because she stayed in the church. Yeah. I was making her wrong for her choice of staying. Yeah. It was this security. It gave her the security and this strength that it did not give me. And so I was judging her, and I realized what I was doing. And so one summer I went home to visit, and I went there with nothing but openness and love. And it was when I did that I got back everything I wanted. Once I was able to take my judgment of my mother out of the equation and accept and love her for who she was. And there was none of this that was ever communicated. It was all just these subtle changes that were made, in sometimes not so subtle, in how I treated her and how I spoke to her and what I expected of her. When I disappeared my expectation, I got everything I had been wanting.
Wow. What a gift.
It was a huge gift. And that's part of what my book is about, is healing that relationship. And she died in 2003. And when she died, we had nothing but love for each other. And I was so grateful that I was given that gift.
Wow. So Maureen, gifts.
Oh boy, gifts succinctly. Well, one gift I was given through my kind of hard work and pursuit that I mentioned, that was 12 years into my diagnosis, which is now like 17 years ago. I got back on my bike and was able to race, and I've been riding at a high level ever since. It's been a big part of my life. And the bigger gift from the biking part was being able to speak and to raise awareness about MS and other causes. And the other gift is the gift of compassion. And I've shared about self-compassion, but as we give compassion to ourselves, what's really important is compassion and empathy. When we can give it to ourselves, we can better authentically give it to the world. And the level that I can have compassion for the world, people in it, and everything that goes on is at a level that would never have been if I couldn't have practiced it myself. It's something I teach in my courses, that we've got to fill up here and then we have something to give, or else it's just kind of like, well, we should be nice people. So that's been huge. The gift of compassion, of course, everything I've done with myself and integrating mind, body, and spirit, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, has allowed me to move and be in the world and teach strategies and understandings in a totally different way. It's made me more whole. And yeah, it's a weird term that popped in my head, but I feel more valuable in the world with what it is I have to bring. And I was valuable before, I get that, but I feel like what I'm teaching is really needed and important, and wouldn't have happened without answering the call.
I think of you riding that bicycle up, in the Tour de France for women, and you could have, if you didn't get MS, you could have won the whole thing. Your life would have been so different. But really what you're saying is, I am much more whole because of what happened. Mm-hmm. It's huge.
Yeah. And healing is, I still have MS, and it's not fun 27 years into it and getting older and all that kind of stuff. So there's that. And the thing is, what I came to understand is healing is the revealing of wholeness. So we're all whole, but how do we live from that wholeness? And you got to peel back what's not it.
Right, right. Okay, so thank you. Lisa, when you think of your journey of saying no more to the school and I'm moving out, you wrote those letters and you've been going ever since. A gift that you have received as a result.
Yeah, I would have to say it is the self-compassion that I've had to develop, just because there has not been this immediate reappearance of success in the previous definition of it. It's been a lot of stumbling and a lot of learning to be with myself in micro failures on a daily basis, which wasn't part of my vocabulary to myself. I just kind of skipped over those. So I've learned to be with that. And I think that does translate into being able to be present with others in a different way.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say totally non-judgmental, because I have not dissolved my judgment, but I was also moved by hearing Pamela's story. I think it's my relationship with my parents, just kind of working through that and creating. So my creativity is a gift, creating something from that story and finding my own way to tell that story. It will be a gift to the world.
Creativity is kind of displayed behind you.
Yes.
You know what you just did? You made my book come alive. Thank you. What you're doing, the heroine goes through all those steps, gets the gifts, comes back to the village, shares what she's learned. Thank you very much for helping us illustrate this journey.